everyone, welcome back to But Why the Podcast, and today we are revisiting an episode from the past again. Pokemon! As always, I'm your host Kate, I'm here with Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt.
Hello.
And a special guest, Ryan.
Hello. I think
Hi,
it's
Ryan.
been, since you guys reviewed Solo that I've been on. It's been a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought you were on was Overwatch before or after that?
I thought before. I might be wrong.
It's been a lot of episodes. I get confused.
It's all a blur at some point.
That's fair. Yeah, I think my own podcast is about to hit 151 in the next month or so, and we're like, man, what have we covered exactly? We have no idea anymore.
Hey, 151 is a perfect number for you guys to do another Pokemon episode.
We are doing a Pokemon special.
Oh, there we go. Hey, man.
For those listening at home, you should say what podcast that is.
That is Gameboys over at goombastomp.com. It's a co-op and multiplayer podcast. It's all about video games. It's fun.
Did y'all time that for the release of Detective Pikachu and the number?
No.
Did you plan that far in advance, Ryan? Is that what happened here?
I think it's going to be like episode 147 this week, but we are covering Detective Pikachu. It's just 151's coming up.
Okay. So, this is actually kind of surprising because Matt is leading the episode for Pokemon today. So, Matt, you should take it away and lead us, leader.
Oh, joy. This is going to be bad. No,
I have a question. How
Yes.
many Pokemon can you name, Matt?
about
Outside of the original 151.
about 5.
Perfect. I love this.
I can name Sobble.
I can go for a while, but outside of that, we might be messed up.
I can name Sobble. That's about it.
Does that even count? Because he's not existing yet.
He's adorable. You leave that precious baby alone. He counts.
To Sobble later. So as we always start, I do have a question, and I kind of want to do a question, kind of like to summarize this episode of like. We recorded this episode. It was episode 43 on November of 2017. I didn't realize that too. Trust me, I kept getting confused and stuff. How have your feelings or views of Pokemon changed since then? Have we got any more excitement or anything? You guys go back and actually start doing Pokemon things at all?
Well, I'm seeing Detective Pikachu tomorrow, so I'm pretty hyped about the Pokemans. I haven't really gone to play anything outside of just Pokemon Go on occasion. Mainly just because when Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee came out, I was too broke to buy it. So I kind of missed that wave of people playing it. But with the new gen stuff coming out, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna cop it and get back into the actual Pokemon stuff and not just playing Pokemon Go on my Switch. But I'm excited. I'm ready. The new fire Pokemon looks dope, so I'm all about it.
What do you got for us, Kate?
I don't stand by my there are only 151 stance as hard just because Sobble was introduced to the world and he's a perfect baby.
Perfect, because I was going to have to fight you on that one, because even in the very first movie, they introduced Gen 2 Pokemon, and you were like, oh no, it's only the first gen, and I was like, oh, Kate,
no. On the episode, I went up to Gen 3. I went up to Gen 3 on the episode. But yeah, no. I still there's just so many of them, but I understand it, I guess. I am very excited for Detective Pikachu, and it wasn't until I saw the trailer on the movie theaters that I was like, oh wow, this is perfect. So I'm Pokemoned. I am effectively Pokemoned and happy to be Pokemoned. So I would say I'm more hype than I was. I mean, it's less nostalgic now and more oh, this is actually something that I'm partaking in.
Now, quick,
right now.
Side question: does anyone besides me here own a 3DS? Because Detective Pikachu, it is a game, and the movie's based off a tiny bit of that.
Sadly, no. I do not, and I know Kate does not. I did know it was based off a game, but no.
Yeah, no, I don't have a 3DS.
Okay.
This is why you are here, Ryan. Because we know you've been a lifer in Pokemon.
So that's not exactly true. I played through, like, I started off with Red and Blue, and I played through Gen 4, and then I took a pretty long break up until about Gen 7. And once Gen 7 came back around, I got back into Pokemon, went through, played the ones that I'd missed, and got super into collecting. And it got to the point where I'm now, one Pokemon away from having every single Pokemon in my box. And I'm just like, oh, this is eating away at me that I missed the opportunity to get this one. But I'm so close. And so I'm just super excited for A, Detective Pikachu, and B, for the new games this year.
Sweet. Yeah, basically the same thing, kind of like what Kate said. It seemed like our first episode was more nostalgia thing, and the reason I asked this question because we have had a lot of stuff come out, which is obviously why we're coming back to revisit it. And so it does seem to be like more, kind of in the now versus like, oh, I did this back in 1999. So,
had I seen the Pokemon I Choose You movie before we recorded?
yes,
yes, you saw it right beforehand.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to
yeah, I was
make sure we talk. Okay.
I was going to mention that. So, quick summary of episode 43. We covered a lot of the background history. It was led by Adrian. We kind of went over the origins of Pokemon, where they came. We went over a lot of the forms of media, the games, the anime, the film, trading cards. We talked quite a bit about a lot of the early generations of Pokemon, how they were favorites. Basically, Kate and I want to say Adrian, some, but I haven't been a while since I remember it, yelled, "Get off my lawn" about Pokemon. I know Kate for sure.
It was me.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I told him that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not get off my lawn for Pikachu. Kate was pretty get off my lawn for
I
Pokemon.
was extremely get off my lawn. Get the fuck off. I'm still like that now.
I mean, I really only played up to half of Gen 4, and then I just stopped playing the game. So I'm not get off my lawn. I'm only get off my lawn when little kids try to tell me about Charizard and stuff, and I'm like, come on, bro.
Nah, I grew up.
What you know about Charizard? What you know about Charizard?
What
you know about my holographic Charizard?
I do see a common theme of everybody gave up after Gen 4, so I feel bad for Gen 5 and 6, apparently.
Which is a shame because Gen 5 is when Pokemon actually started examining itself a bit, and it started asking is it all right for these Pokemon to be fighting each other based on the wills of humans? And so Gen 5 actually has a great story, but it is a slog. That game is so slow. And then
Pokemon the first movie.
What?
When is Sobble?
Sobble is Gen 8.
Oh my gosh, Kate.
Yeah, that's the upcoming gen. Sobble speaks to me on a deep level because we're both depressed little creatures.
So some of the why those we had for episode 43, we kind of went into their popularity, the family value between Ash and Pokemon, so a lot of the fan theories, the pop culture references, and then kind of transcending generations and whatnot. So anyways, why are we coming back to revisit this? Because basically, new generations, both Pokemon-wise, as we've already mentioned, and just kind of people-wise, will be kind of the main theme today. Because actually a lot has happened since we recorded this in November of 27. And kind of what's moving forward, because even starting the episode of the opening question and Kate saying I went from nostalgia to kind of I'm back into Pokemon, and the same thing with Adrian of I'm ready to be Pokemon or be a Pokemon again and whatnot.
Yeah, it's been great to see the Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee's influence on people, because I know it brought a lot of people back into Pokemon. The Wii U never really had any great hold, and the only Pokemon game it had was the Pokken. The Switch already is off to a much better start, and I know a lot more people who are excited for Gen 8 because they played Let's Go, or because they actually got into a tiny bit of Pokemon Go or Generation 7 when it got its remastered versions.
Yeah. So we'll kind of start with kind of the media. So moving us into why those are moving forward of let's kind of start with what some of the media that's been released since then. So since we when we released this episode last time, we were kind of celebrating Pokemon Sun and Moon, which I was actually confused when I first did the notes. I thought it was the Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, but I realized we were off by a year. And also the I Choose You movie had just released, and Adrian had just saw it. So kind of the movies since we've had that was Pokemon I Choose You, which was the reboot of, I guess, the cartoon franchise. And since then, they now have Pokemon The Power of Us released last year of 2018, and then Pokemon, a to-be-determined English title. It's basically Japanese title is Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. It releases in July in 2019, assuming a 2019 or November 2019 North American release, if I'm following the pattern. So, obviously, Adrian, you watched the first one. Have you actually caught up or looking anything for this next movies?
For The Power of Us, I didn't even know this was a movie.
Oh, yes, it's a sequel, direct sequel to...
And then I didn't know that they were doing... I mean, I knew that they were doing, like, the Mewtwo Strikes Back thing, but I didn't, like, go look to find, like, a Japanese sub of it.
Yeah,
But-
so Mewtwo Strikes Back is them remaking the first movie using CGI. So it is Pokemon the first movie, just remastered in like CGI instead of like their hand-drawn animation. It looks
What? You telling me that I gotta
it looks
watch-
not great. The Pokemon look all right, but the like human like characters, they look wrong.
I mean, I really don't want to see Pikachu slapping Pikachu in CG. Like, are you gonna tell me Ryan Reynolds is gonna come slap another Ryan Reynolds Pikachu? Like that level of CGI?
No,
I can't
it's not
handle that.
nearly that level. It's
Okay,
much
'cause I can't
more-
handle that.
Yeah, that would break me. But no, this is like just a new art style, and it honestly doesn't look that great. I haven't seen The Power of Us. Is that what it was called?
Yes, The Power of Us.
But I had meant to, and I didn't get around to it. So
Is it like Ultraman? Is that the type of like style that it is? Like that kind of like weird CG anime hybrid or
I would have to pull up the trailer, but I believe so. It's
Ugh.
just it lacks the charm of the first movie, and I don't really know why they're doing it. Otherwise, like other than that movie is golden, so they think they can sell more.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of some of it. I know Ultraman looked interesting, but the actual like CG or concept animation was definitely kind of a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
And animation these days has been really weird. Of like they're trying to make it, I guess, better, but in some ways it seems they've made it worse. But maybe
Yeah.
that's just my eyes. I am half blind.
I just don't like the hybrid stuff. Like it's just it's like my eyes are trying to focus or want it to be one thing and it's not that thing.
Mhm.
Because even in like the Broly movie, when the capsules, like the ships are in space, they're like obviously like CG versus just animated.
Yeah.
And it looks kind of weird, but that's like not the majority of the animation or movies.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched the trailer real quick, and it looks like it looks like a cinematic cutscene type of like kind of thing.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it's not like I don't think the CGI in it is terrible. They also put the Pikachu slapping each other at the end of the trailer, which is like,
Come on.
That is
why-
disrespectful.
why would you do that?
That is
Like that's
very
why would I
aggressive.
want to watch that? And it's like Ash yelling in the Japanese dub, which is like way more painful than like the English dub. So I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I'll probably watch it for free somewhere.
I gotta throw
I'm
in
gonna
that
pay for
it.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up because of Pokemon Sun and Moon is I actually remember PETA starting a Pokemon Black and Blue campaign, which I don't think we talked about on our first episode about how much PETA is against Pokemon existing.
Yes.
So that was very interesting, and they got ratioed very hard on that tweet that they put out. Because it just made no sense. Like they literally made an entire like graphic and campaign around like pictures of very, very injured Pokemon.
Ooh.
And I was just like, this is
Yeah, that was
This
for
is-
when they were announced, I believe, Sword and Shield, correct? When they did
no,
the
I
game?
thought it was Sun and Moon because it
Was it
rhymes
that
with
one? I
black
thought
and
it was
blue.
the other one. Okay, I do remember the image you're talking about, but I thought it was later than that.
Oh, I thought it was Sun and Moon just because of Black and Blue, Sun and Moon. Like,
Could it have been for the Ultra Sun Ultraman? Like it was like the next step. Yeah.
Could have been.
it
that
was
one.
for a Pokemon game that people were excited about, and it was coming out in the blank and blank format.
Okay. So any Pokemon game essentially. That doesn't really narrow it down that much.
I didn't realize they made this into like an actual game, like a little flash game on their website.
I didn't realize that either. What the hell?
And they're like basically just ripping off McDonald's. Like, how did they get away with this? Like, how did they get away with like this dude looking like the Hamburglar and the dude looking like Ronald McDonald? Like, how did this work? They put a lot of work into this. Like, you're actually doing like Pokemon moves. Like Pikachu just used Slam, guys. Like, why did they do this? Why did they think that this was gonna be that like Pokemon fans are gonna be like, oh, Pokemon is so terrible. Why did we play this game? Like, no, come on, man. We know what we were doing.
Like I said, Generation 5 actually tries to tackle this as like is it okay for Pokemon to be fighting each other? That's like the whole plot of that game. I think people get too caught up on it. It's imaginary monsters. It is what it is.
Hey, my fan theory, like we talked about in that episode, is that like the Pokeballs are just like lavish mansions, and they're just chilling in there. They got like the big screen set up.
100%.
I also think that it's like super important to note that like Nintendo, I guess not, because I didn't know that was like a topic in Gen 5, but I do know Matt and I went to IkiCon last year, and they had Sarah Chendi and I forgot her other name. She's the director of Sun and Moon.
Lisa Ortiz, I believe.
Yeah, Lisa Ortiz. And they both talked extensively because somebody asked them in the crowd, what Pokemon would you have as a pet? And they just looked at each other and were like, under contract, we cannot describe Pokemon as animals. So that was, I mean, I'll probably talk about it later, but like getting to hear like Pokemon voice actors and directors talk was like, Nintendo has some strict ass rules, and one of them is do not refer to Pokemon as animals, which I think no fan abides by at all.
Which that was by far the weirdest panel ever of basically, I don't know, other than you showing up and saying hi, they basically were not allowed to say anything or do anything, pretty much. So it was very, very
and
weird.
They gave like a disclaimer in the beginning, like a 5-minute disclaimer talking about how they are not here representing Nintendo, the anime, or any of the thoughts of the original creators of Pokemon, and this is not an official Pokemon panel to discuss Pokemon.
Huh.
It was very weird.
But yes. Speaking of which, the voice actors, the TV anime still has now added 2 seasons with Ultra Legends currently on its run now. And currently in, I believe, it's obviously running in Japan, and I believe it's still updating a little behind in North America. So they're still going strong in those areas, apparently.
Pokemon will never stop. That anime is going to continue on long after we're gone.
Yes, apparently it's in season
because Ash
21
never
and
wins.
22.
Yeah.
What?
I said because Ash never wins. Like, how can there can never be an end because he never wins?
If I remember correctly, at the end of X, Y, and Z, he gets very close. Like, he's fighting the champion, and he ends up losing.
I'm totally just gonna keep referencing when we listened to people when we went to that panel with those voice actors, because one of the audiences talked at the voice actors about that.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
I specifically say talked at the voice actors because they just kind of went on like a 10-minute explanation as to why Ash should have won that season. And the voice actors were like, well, if you understand Pokemon, it's not about winning, it's about growing and
it's all about the journey, guys. Come on.
relationships. Yeah. But I still think Ash should win at least once. That's weird.
I don't know, man, because like when I used to watch the show, he won the Indigo League, or the Orange. What was it?
I think he won Orange Islands.
Yeah. He won Orange. He won the Orange League, and then wasn't he like Battle Frontier champion, master, something?
So
or other?
the woman who voiced Ash said that he has only won something one time, and I trust her because she is the character.
I mean, I guess
I'm gonna
you can
Google it
trust
because I'm
her,
pretty sure
but-
he won like 2 things, and then
He won 2 things in 22
Hey,
seasons.
it's 2 things when I was watching, so that's all that matters to me.
2 things in 22 seasons.
Yeah, Orange League champion, master of Kanto's Battle Frontier and the 8th Frontier Brain.
Okay, so
And
two
then-
things in 22 seasons.
And then the rest of it's like semifinalists in the Sinnoh League. I remember that. And then runner-up in the Liminos Conference? I don't even know what that is.
They're
Yeah,
just making up names as we go.
But she did say, like, they went into like a long discussion, like the director of Sun and Moon and her kind of like talked with each other about it and explained how like they have nieces and nephews who get really sad when Ash loses, but that from a directorial standpoint and as the property exists from Japan, the point of it is to teach children how to keep going after loss and not to teach them that winning is the end. And so it's supposed to like represent this like constant struggle for growth and like inspire kids that way. That's what they landed on, which I thought was really interesting. And Sarah, the voice of Ash, was just like, I can't look at my niece in the eyes and be like, yeah, he's gonna win sometime, honey, because he's just not.
He's not. Nah. He's not red. He wishes he was.
We know they're never going to win because then when they win, there's nothing to look forward to.
Do you like listening to But Why Though? Well, the Podcoin app is a podcast player that pays you to listen to this podcast and all of the podcasts that you love. Just get the Podcoin app on iPhone or Android and start listening today. It's free and super easy to use, with every minute you listen getting you sweet, sweet coins. It turns your podcast listening into charity, or if you like, just get some Amazon or Starbucks gift cards. I mean, getting paid to listen to podcasts, that's pretty cool. I use the Podcoin app to do all my podcast listening now, and I can be 100%. I love it. So seriously, just go get the Podcoin app and use our invite code, but why though? And though spelled THO, you know, you listen to the show. You'll get 300 Podcoin just for signing up if you use our code. That's 300 Podcoin just for signing up if you use our code, but why though? Go give Podcoin a try today.
But moving on to kind of one of the big reasons that we're redoing this, and we've already mentioned it quite a few, is the live action Detective Pikachu, which released last week on May 10th, with Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu and Justice Smith as Tim Goodman, a former Pokemon trainer. So the main question is, are we excited for one, a Pokemon movie, then two, live action actual Pokemon?
I wasn't at first. They terrified me. I didn't know what to do. Like it was just weird. Especially I'm still scared of Mr. Mime, by the way. Like, but somebody had mentioned that because they saw that I was scared of Mr. Mime and they're like, "Okay, so you think it's weird that they have fur, but just imagine all of them as skin like Mr. Mime. And you'll appreciate the fur." And I was like, oh yeah, I do. But then we got more pictures and more like actual, I think the marketing campaign for Detective Pikachu has been really, really good in that like recently they've been releasing like up close images of like people's favorite Pokemon. And like for me, when I saw it on the trailer in the theater, I was like, holy crap. One, this looks amazing. And two, like, I was stupid for ever not being excited about live action Pokemon because it just means I'm this much closer to having one of my own.
Anybody else
Okay.
excited?
I'm just taken aback by the fact that Kate wants her own Pokemon.
Are you,
I do.
We all want
surprised-
our own
I was like,
Pokemon.
are you surprised by
Do
this?
you
at this
not
point?
want your own Pokemon?
I mean,
Listen.
yeah, but like, just like one step closer makes it seem, I don't know, it's too real.
There's always that like question: if you could go to any game universe, which one would you go to? And 100%, it's always Pokemon. I have a very low chance of dying, and I can actually be a master of something.
Yeah,
That
and when
sounds
something
like a
bad,
high
your memory
bar.
just gets when something bad happens and like the world's gonna end, your memory just gets wiped at the end of the movie anyway. So you know, it's all fine.
It's perfect.
I couldn't live in Pokemon because then I have to eat Pokemon, and that still bothers me so much.
Nah, they'd be so tasty.
Magikarp was delicious.
I, for one, am like extremely excited about this movie. I am glad that they're just letting Ryan Reynolds be like comedic, because he does such a good job with like PR and stuff. I don't know if either of you guys saw his like going like into character and being method acting while doing Detective Pikachu. They did an interview with him and his wife, and it's honestly just pure comedy gold. This
I
movie,
love him.
this movie's coming out like on my birthday, and so I'm just like, yes, I'm turning 28. This is great. I'm going to celebrate being an adult by going to see Pokemon in theaters.
I'm with basically both of you. I'm actually excited. I was very hesitant, and I was like, "This is going to be stupid." Because obviously, I've mentioned probably on another podcast of I'm not a fan of these Disney live actions that they're doing, and I think they're like totally unnecessary and thing. And then I kind of like with Kate. I don't remember what movie we went to. We saw the first trailer like actually in theaters, and I was like, "I'm on board with this. I'm ready for this." And then like we've released more stuff. The Pokemon actually look pretty well done, at least so far, from what we've seen compared to like I said. Some of this Disney live action stuff is like, oh, this is horrendous. But these Pokemon look pretty well done. I'm just excited, and I hope it is good. I want to say it's going to be good, but we'll have to see. But I'm actually surprised, but I'm glad they took this risk of actually doing this. I never thought we'd actually get to this point. For as much as we've had just to be in an anime, a manga, and video games, like to now get an actual, I guess can't get a live action because that's all we do these days. But we finally got to this point after 20-something years.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I've just been hurt so much by like video game adaptations and anime adaptations that like I'm always super weary. But when I saw the teaser trailer, I was like, oh yeah, I'm in. I don't need any more. Like I'm good. Like this is I want this in my life. Give me Deadpool in anything, and it's what vibes I get. He's basically Pikachu as Deadpool as Ryan Reynolds, and I'm down with that. And I also really like Justice Smith in the Get Down. Justice Smith is his name? Yeah, Justice Smith in the Get Down. So I don't know how this won't be good. Like I think something really wrong has to happen for this not to be good, just from everything that we've seen. And the Charizard looks so dope. I want one.
Yeah. Question for all of you: do you think it is going to finally break the curse and it be an actual good video game movie?
I mean, I don't think it's a curse because I feel like Tomb Raider was a good video game movie. But I digress. Yes. It was a good video game movie.
Okay,
Warcraft
Tomb
also
Raiders,
isn't like as terrible as people say it is.
Once again,
Yeah.
good video
both
game
Tomb
movie. Or are we
Raiders.
talking about like actual good movie where people actually can step outside the video game and like this movie? Is what I'm assuming you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will it be a good movie? Will it be a faithful adaptation? Because I feel like those are the two bars you have to really hit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that makes sense because I know that, like, so the reason I just said, like, I don't, like, I think it's a curse because, like, both Tomb Raider adaptations are, like, unique, but, like, because everything else has sucked. But I do think, at least looking at it, I think it's going to be faithful so far as in-universe stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, I haven't played Detective Pikachu, but it looks like they have their crap together on, like, Pokemon lore, right? So, like, keeping everything tight into what exists.
Yeah, that's
least
been one
from
of
what
like
I've
the
seen.
great things watching those trailers is going like frame by frame to see like all the like little bits of like, hey, you're keeping with the Pokemon universe. Here is the Sinnoh League Championship. Here's some of the legendaries you would expect to find. It's interesting to see them take like such great care and detail with the Pokemon universe. So I'm excited for this even more. I really hope it's gonna be good.
So
I also think it's gonna get people involved in it who don't know what Pokemon is too, because like that just looks like a fun movie to watch. Like,
Mhm.
regardless of your attachment to the franchise or anything, I do definitely think it's gonna get people in the seats. I'm hoping that it will get money because Endgame is winding down. Is it winding down? It's winding down, right?
It's been what, almost 3 weeks?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's winding down.
it's winding down. I don't think it's come to a stop by any means, but
we always have those random people that for some reason go to the same movie over and over again. But I think outside of them, I think the general public, for the most part, if you want to see it, you've seen it, and they've given you plenty of opportunity to see it by now. So I think you can. I think we can get it at least. I don't think it's going to affect Pikachu as much, especially with how much they did like theaters they had for the first 2 weeks.
I mean, looking at like who's involved, I think it'll be fine. I mean, the director is Robert Letterman, who's done Shark Tale, Monsters vs. Aliens, Gulliver's Travels. it's been
I forgot
attached.
that movie existed.
I heard that mumble in there, and I was like, oh yeah.
Monster vs. Aliens is really good, though.
Yeah, Monster vs. Aliens isn't bad, and I think Shark Tale's super underrated, so I think it'll be fine. I think at least in that front, we're in, yeah.
So for you, outside of obviously Kate, so the Pokemon that we have seen, I seem to recognize majority of them. Or do we have anything outside of Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 Pokemon that we've seen so far? Or has it all been pretty much Gen 1 for the most part?
No, there's a big action sequence with a bunch of Greninja, which I believe in, don't shoot me on this, is Gen 6 or
Are
Gen
those
5?
the one in the trees?
Gen 6. They're like
Are
the
those-
frogs throwing shuriken.
Yeah, the ones in the trees.
Yeah.
Going like this.
And
I
I believe
can't
they
see
also,
anything
like,
on a
in one of the
podcast.
trailers, like, bust through a door and stuff and are trying to, like, attack. It seems like they're taking a healthy amount from every single generation. Obviously putting a bit more emphasis on the first generation because that is, what people are most familiar with, especially since Let's Go just came out.
So I do want to know too, like from y'all's perspective, like, do you think the marketing is just focusing on Gen 1 to get parents on board, right? Like, because God, like
or even
we're-
parents are just about
are-
like people like us.
Yeah.
Well, no, but no. So what I mean by that is like it hits into that nostalgia factor, but it's also like if you're a parent with a kid and you felt detached from the franchise because you've been looking at it through them and it's different and you only had it in the beginning, right? Like, and you lost. I'm just trying to say, like, if you're a parent with a kid and like you only have that nostalgia piece, or if you're like a get off my lawn person who just doesn't understand what your kid's playing now, like. Do you like that seems like a demographic that they're hitting with that? Well,
It's probably a lot of, hey, these are some of like the more nostalgic Pokemon. It also, like I said, is kind of like tying into Let's Go, which just came out last year, which brought in a lot of new fans and a lot of like old fans. And so showing some more of those Pokemon is like, oh, I know who that is. Maybe I will go see this. I think that's kind of what they're planning.
I think it's fair because obviously, like,
Yeah, I mean, just from I just like a quick Google. So I'm curious because I didn't go like frame by frame, but like just by doing a Google of like, hey, who's in this thing? There's like a bunch of Pokemon that are just kind of, I don't know how big of a role they'll have, but there's Pokemon. There's this one Pokemon called Boafalant who looks like a Tauros but like with an afro.
Yeah.
There's this Bravery Pokemon that I don't know.
who's okay? I got two
There's
questions.
this Omolaga who looks like a little cute flying squirrel thing.
now you're
I
just
got two
making up
questions.
things.
What is the name of the pink dog that has the angry face? And what is the name of the very memeable duck-billed guy with a hat and beard that
That's
looks like,
Psyduck,
oh my
is
god,
it
what's
not?
happening?
No,
It's
it's,
not
it's,
Psyduck.
It's Ludicolo.
Ah.
yeah.
Who is it?
Ludicolo? I don't know if you pronounce
Ludicolo?
it. You never hear the name Pokemon's names pronounced, so I never know how to pronounce any of them
How
outside
do
of
you
like the
never hear
TV
them
show.
pronounced? Don't they only say their name?
Well, if you're like,
But, like,
me, you just read them on the game and you never actually you make your own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, that's fair. He looks kind of like a Psyduck, though. Cute. But what's the pink dog?
Oh shoot! It starts with an S.
Awesome, that narrowed it down.
Yeah. Listen, there are over 800 Pokemon. My brain is not as good as it used to be.
I mean, we only have 26 letters in the alphabet, and you eliminated 25 of them, so that's good.
Not gonna lie, I
Um,
kind of want to ask somebody to send us them naming
Snubbull.
as many Pokemon as they can.
Snubble?
Snubble.
Snubble?
I was trying to figure like who is she talking about?
Snubble?
Yeah, okay.
Snub.
Snubbull.
Snubbull.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
That's what, Gen 3? Gen 3, I think.
So I
That
actually
sounds right.
think I can thank Gen 8 and the Detective Pikachu movie for me being like, okay, maybe these Pokemon I don't know are actually pretty cool because they're adorable.
What, there's an octillery in this movie? It's
Perfect.
a giant octopus. Why? How
There's
was
a
that thing
crappy
on
kaiju
land?
in this movie too?
I mean, like not like giant, but like probably like an 8-foot tall octopus.
That's pretty giant.
Yeah.
That's not that big, especially for like an octopus or creatures in the sea.
Sorry, that was like a long time talking about Detective Pikachu, but like
No, that
I'm
was
excited.
good. That was one of the main
Long
things.
story short.
Yeah, that was one of the main things I did want to hit because that is one of the big things coming out for like this not really renaissance, but like kind of revival in Pokemon. It seems like since this, kind of we touched on here, but kind of moving into the next big thing of like a lot of the games have come out and they've actually been relatively done and really good. Like we did celebrate Sun and Moon, which was kind of like I think it was like on the Wii U, if that's correct, or something. When it
No,
came?
it's on the 3DS.
3DS, that's correct. I knew it was something that nobody owned. And so, but now they got Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, which came out in November of 2018. Kind of remakes of Pokemon Blue and Red, and kind of inspired by Pokemon Yellow with this blend. And sadly, I don't own a Switch, so I couldn't play it, but it was one of those, like, I was ready to go play this game for sure. And it definitely brought back the Pokemon Red vibes that I grew up playing. And I know one of you have at least played this.
Yeah, I've played through Sun and Moon, Ultra Sun and Moon, and then Let's Go. I really love all of these. Sun and Moon takes place in Alola, which is the Pokemon universe's version of Hawaii. And so you're getting a mix of like Kanto Pokemon with these new Pokemon and add some variants to your favorite Pokemon. So things evolve a bit differently. You can get a Vulpix that is ice like typing, and it evolves into an ice Vulpix, and it's perfect. It's honestly my favorite Pokemon out of the new stuff. But then, you know, you also get the return of like Gen 1 with the Let's Go mechanics with Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. And those games are just a ton of fun. It was one of those games I got to play at E3 last year, and I was just sitting there like playing it, throwing the Pokeball at the like screen essentially, and being like, "Wow, I didn't think I was going to enjoy this, but it is so relaxing," and I wasn't expecting that.
I do know one of the things that Kate's really enjoyed, even though she hadn't played it, watching it, is they allow you to not only run around with, I believe, Eevee or Pikachu, but you also get to choose one Pokemon to actually follow you and not just you running around.
Yeah, that's something that Pokemon Yellow first did with Pikachu,
Right.
and then Heart Gold and Soul Silver allowed you to do it with any Pokemon, and that was a remake of Gen 2. And so this is just, you know, taking that idea and applying it to the original 151. I personally got like the Mew from the little Pokeball and traveled around with a Mew the entire time, and it was perfect.
Mew's so cute. I just
Mew
wanna,
is my
like,
favorite
squish
Pokemon of
Mew's
all
tummy.
time, and some friends of mine just got back from Japan, and they got me Mew chopsticks and a little chopstick holder, and it is the cutest thing I've ever seen.
That is so adorable.
So I guess moving from there, we got Smash Bros. Unlimited. Came out in December of 18, which Pokemon also are pretty big in that game as well.
Ultimate. Yes, they are big in that game.
Yes. So,
You said Unlimited.
oh, my bad. I thought I said Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon people are crazy, man. I'm just trying to protect
I
you on
know.
the Twitters.
I went through that thing and I saw Pokemon people talk, and I was like, they're on a whole nother level. I will never be on this level. I'm uncomfortable right now.
Yeah,
But-
I can talk a great deal about Pokemon until we get into like the TGC, like current meta and the like competitive scene. That is beyond my understanding.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit in our episode, so I'm hoping like that's enough because, I mean, to be honest, like a lot of those championships are for kids. Like, there's like one adult division and like 17 kid divisions.
Yeah, the TGC. I mean, I couldn't keep up with it anymore. I hopped back into it a tiny bit about 5 or 6 years ago, but outside of going to like one tournament, I was just like, this isn't for me. Competitive Pokemon, that takes this pretty like simplistic JRPG and changes everything I know about it, and I'm just like, how was there this many levels to this game that I just never cared about?
Yeah, I think I said it in our other episode because I was lucky enough to get my parents into Pokemon. I was like, Mom, look, you and Dad can play each other, and then y'all can compete, which they love to do. So we got into it, and we had quite a bit of Pokemon cards, and we would go to like the local comic book shop, you know, every other weekend and play. So I don't know, maybe 4 years ago or so, we were like, oh, hey, they're doing this tournament thing. We still have all of our old Pokemon cards that were legit back in the day. Let's just go play. And then I find out that like Pokemon like standard go up to like 140 HP.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of the cards that we used to play with aren't even in like circulation anymore. And I was like, oh, well, this little 8-year-old's about to kick my ass because his Pokemon are all way stronger than mine.
Yeah, with a bunch of the like TGCs and stuff, they do like seasons for the packs, and only certain seasons are like viable or you can actually use in tournaments. And the older stuff is just like completely like weak in comparison. They actually did like a re-release of a bunch of the old cards, bringing them up to power, which is cool if you liked the old design. But I don't know, I couldn't get back into it.
Yeah, which kind of leads to basically the new game coming out that was just announced this year in February, Pokemon Sword and Shield. It will be released later in 2019, and also basically to the next starting point, which Kate has been wanting to talk about this entire episode, starts Generation H. And so Generation H, along with Pokemon Sword and Shield, was announced in February. We got the new starters so far. Sobble, which is the water, Grocky, or whatever you want to call that thing, is the grass. Scorbunny is the fire. We got some logos, and apparently taking place in the setting of Galar region, which kind of looks almost like Great Britain.
Yeah, if you take the map and you, I think, flip it upside down, it is Great Britain.
Yes.
Which is cool. With Generation 6, I think we got Paris. 5 takes place in like New York, America area. So they're jumping all over the map, which is cool. Finally moving outside of just Japan.
Yeah, no, I looked at the map when I was obviously doing these, and I saw between the cities of mountains. It actually looks like a really cool map to explore. Like I said, the variety of regions they have within this island, or whatever you want to call it, basically an island, look like it could be a lot of fun to play in. So, I guess now that we have this here, this is cool. What do y'all think of these starters? Do you have a favorite? Are you picking one? Are you even interested so far in this?
I currently love all these starters. I really am hoping that Scorbunny is not another firefighting Pokemon, because that's been the problem with fire Pokemon for the past few generations, where I think it's like of the like 7 current like Pokemon like generations, 3 of the like fire starters are firefighting, and that typing's just overplayed at this point. It's a bit boring. I'm definitely going to be playing through this game multiple times, so I don't know who I'm going to be picking, but probably going to go with Sobble, just because, like I said, connects to me on that deep level of we're both depressed creatures.
Kate, here's your opportunity. Go for it.
Sobble is the bestest of boys. And he is amazing. And I honestly, I don't know anything about him other than he's a water Pokemon, and that he's adorable, and that he just looks like he needs a hug. And lately I've needed hugs, and he just speaks to me on a deep level. And I've seen a whole bunch of people selling plushies on Etsy, and it takes everything in my power to not buy one because they are adorable.
You should buy yourself 2. That way he can have a friend.
Oh, Matt!
No.
I'm not a good influence.
And buy a big Sobble and a little Sobble. But no, one of the things that has been kind of weird for me is just the names of these Pokemon. Like, even when Adrian was saying, like, naming some of the Pokemon they saw, I'm just like, what the hell? I don't even know if I can pronounce this. But like the names of these Sobble and Scorbunny and Grookey, like, those are easy names. And they're cute names, and they're adorable names, and I want to hug Sobble because he's so cute. And maybe give him some Xanax. We could both use that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm mainly excited because I have something to play the games on. I haven't had something to play the games on in a long time. So I'm generally excited. I think you're right, Ryan, about the whole firefighting thing, because I personally thought Blaziken was dope. But then
I hate that fire chicken. I hate that fire chicken so much.
And then I got Infernape in the next one.
Yep.
And then I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. And then they gave us Embor in the next one. I didn't play that one, but I'm like, you're just giving me the same things over and over again. And I don't want that. I'm kind of sad I didn't play the last one because Fire Dark sounds cool and Linton looks like a cute kitty, and I want it.
Yeah, Incineroar. I'm glad he's Fire Dark, but man, does his design scream firefighting? And I think they saw that and they were like, "Oh, we intended for him to be firefighting, but then we realized we couldn't do that again.
And
So
people got
let's
pissed.
switch him over to Dark
Yeah.
real quick." It's fine. He's a
So-
wrestler who's Fire Dark.
Yeah, he's got the
for
belts
the
and everything.
uninitiated, can you explain what those two things mean?
It's just the like typing. So after even in Gen 1, each Pokemon has like a type. And so a lot of the starter Pokemon no longer are just pure fire, water, or grass. A lot of them have like a secondary typing to them. So firefighting, like water, fairy, the Gen 7 grass Pokemon is Grass Ghost, and it's like an owl. It's great. It just makes them a bit more viable in the late game.
Okay, that's interesting. And
Yeah, but
tells
yeah,
me that
Score
I
Bunny
know
looks dope.
nothing.
You like Score Bunny?
Score Bunny.
I personally,
I
out of
like
all of
Score
them, I
Bunny.
didn't like the way the Score Bunny design so far.
I also always pick fire. Like it can be the ugliest Pokemon ever, but I'm always picking
Well, that's what
fire.
I'm saying. I usually
I'm
like
just-
to
I
pick
just-
fire, but
yeah.
I don't really like that it's just a little bunny rabbit. Like, what are you lighting on fire?
You take that back, Matt.
What? What? What do you mean? It's just a little. The other one just a little monkey, and the other one just like
Little frog
a
thing.
little
Tadpole.
Adorable
Poliwag.
and not recognizable.
Poliwag wannabe.
Yeah, but
was- was like-
Poliwags at least like water, and monkeys definitely
Looks
live
like
in-
Poliwag and like Mudkip had a baby, and that's what came out.
That's why it's so sad.
I will say these Pokemon at least look like, because obviously I've not followed up, especially past like probably Gen 1 and whatnot. These do look like pretty well done starters for the most part so far, what we've seen in the design. It should be interesting to see what they evolve into. We don't really have a lot of information as all. I guess if you had to pick one right now to start with, who are we going with?
Double.
Yeah, I would go Sobble as well, even though really I'm going to wait until I see those final evolutions.
Score Bunny. It could just be a giant fat bunny, and I'm still down. Like that dude, Score Bunny can turn into like Totoro, and like just be like a Snorlax level fighting Pokemon, or a Snorlax level fire Pokemon, and I'm still down.
Oh gosh.
I mean,
just
I'd
got
be
sad.
actually
What
into
if,
that too.
What if like Sobble's evolution just has Sobble getting increasingly sadder?
What if he just becomes a real buff,
What?
sad Pokemon?
Yeah, like what if like he just looks sadder in each iteration?
Why?
I don't know.
Is his final evolution me? Because that's about as low as you can get.
Bring on the brightest of people. But no, we have. I will say I'm kind of with the boat of Ryan. I'd probably be Sobble, but I do like to see the last actual evolution before I would select one. But if I had to take a starter based on stuff, I like the fire,
Why?
but I'm not a fan of the bunny.
Why would you pick Sobble though? I'm really interested.
Huh? I think
Why would you pick Sobble?
one is blue. I don't like the designs of the other two. One just looks
He's
like a generic
blue.
bunny, and the other one just like a generic monkey. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't know what this is. This looks a lot better. Plus, like we all said, he just looks like the saddest and could use a friend to go Pokemon with.
So Sobble is just gonna have the most usage as a starter because people just want him to not be alone, is what you're saying.
Most likely.
100%.
No. I know one thing, briefly, people were kind of, I don't know how you felt, Ryan or even Adrian, if you've seen the logos, people were kind of not really disappointed, but it wasn't like the thing where they literally just put a wolf on a sword and a wolf on a shield.
I mean, the logos for Sun and Moon were just a sun and a moon. So like,
I guess that people were hoping for something different, per se.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of like that it's going into that like Great Britain, old school, like medieval, like style. I'm curious to see how this is going to affect like the title Pokemon, the cover Pokemon, like those legendaries. If they are going to be wolf based, just because we got a bunch of like, I guess it was more like a dog, but like a wolf Pokemon last generation. So I'm curious to see how this is gonna affect the game, but I have no strong opinions on it right now.
I really don't have any opinions on it either because they're kind of just like running out of shit to call things. Like there's only so many like contrasting color combinations / like mineral combinations that you can make before you start running out of stuff and just have to start, well, pencil and pen. Like, but I don't know. I mean, and I don't even know which one I'd get. I guess I'd have to go with the shield one because it's red. So
I'm gonna hold off until I see which one corresponds with which legendary.
Guys, Pokemon Salt and Pepper.
It's just one big cooking game where you have to beat Brock at the end.
Oh man, you're gonna cook up so many good Pokemon in that game.
Oh no! What did I do?
There it
I'm
is.
done.
Well, I'm gonna be picking up Pokemon Salt for sure.
Oh my god. No.
But as far as that's pretty much about all of our new stuff that was been announced. I mean, that's actually to me kind of quite a bit in just a year and a half. It does seem, like I said, we not necessarily Renaissance, but it does seem we are getting a lot more Pokemon and they are doing. And we kind of touched on it, but I do want to mention that like I feel like all this content is good because it's quite a bit of like we got the old reboots of like the movies. We got the nostalgia factors like kind of the red and blue stuff, but we also have a new generation. And even Detective Pikachu moving forward. So I think we got a nice blend of this whole, like, it kind of touches everybody. And so I guess out of all that, what are all of you excited for? I mean, out of all of that the most?
For me, I'm most excited for Generation 8. This is the first time a like core main series Pokemon game is coming to a home console. For me, this is huge. I'm streaming with you guys these past few weeks now, so I'm excited for November to kick around because that is all I'm going to be playing on the stream nonstop is going to be Pokemon. Good luck trying to stop me.
That's fine.
Yeah. For me, like one of my biggest hesitations is like they recently with Generation 6 introduced the Pokebank, which it allows you to like transfer your Pokemon from game to game over the internet and store thousands of Pokemon, and it's how I've been able to collect all the Pokemon. If Generation 8 comes out and they don't have the Pokebank on the Switch, it'll mean that all my Pokemon are trapped on the 3DS, and I want to transfer them over. I want to have a complete Pokedex moving forward. So
wait. You mean you want to be able to like day one transfer over 800 Pokemon to your game?
Usually what they do is they release the Pokebank about a month or two after the release of a game. So it won't be day one, but it will be, in that first year having all the Pokemon. And it's why I've been like, it's why I completed the Pokedex in Sun. It's why I've been like constantly trying to get them all, is because I want them all in one place in one box, because that just, I don't know, it ticks a little box for me.
So
Are you trying to say that you're trying to catch them all?
I am trying to say I'm trying to catch them all. I want to be the
you're
very
trying
best.
To be the very best.
Like no one ever was.
I will say I do like the mention of the stuff because I will. They've always seemed to be more like on your Game Boys, your 3DSs, and now having this on Switch, I think will be very big. And I think that was a great design. It's sad that we don't have a Switch, but the Switch seems to be very promising console, especially with the.
You still got time to get one.
It's not that I won't get one. It's just yeah.
It's November, man. Start saving now.
Just send me your old one. I know you can't. You can only have.
Yeah,
one
when Nintendo announces like the Switch 2.0, I might send you my old broken one. It still plays on the TV fine. It just really can't do handheld very well.
Also,
it can't do its main function.
I'm okay with
that
it.
keeps saying that we're not going to get a Switch for Ultimate Alliance 3, but we're going to get a Switch.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen.
On
game
Gameboys
so
for Endgame, we reviewed Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2, and now everyone's convinced about getting 3, and I'm very excited.
I love Ultimate Alliance, except for that one time Matt had Infinity War spoiled for him.
It is what it is. They're still great games. But no, I think overall, I mean, I guess, Adrian, you have a Switch. Are you now excited that you feel you can play these games as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the biggest reasons that I'm going to be picking up the new gen. I did pick up Let's Go Pikachu and stuff because, like, all the reviews I said it was basically, like, not... It didn't seem like it was, like, a traditional, JRPG thing.
It's definitely not. It's much more simplified.
Yeah, and I didn't know if I wanted to spend money on, like, a better version of, like, Pokemon Go.
Mm-hmm.
which is, I don't need to play it, but I'm excited for the new game mainly because I'm excited for the fire starter looking person. And the new region looks cool. I'm excited for the new region. It's one of the things that I like most about these games is that each region's a little bit different. So I'm excited to see like how this plays into kind of like the world building of this, and obviously excited for Detective Pikachu. I mean, we're recording this the day before it comes out, so I will be in my seat and probably would have watched it in the next 24 hours. So I'm hoping that I come out liking it and wanting my own Pokemon like Kate.
Yeah, when they announced Detective Pikachu's release date, I literally was like, "Wow, the world just gave me a birthday gift. This is perfect."
I guess because we're all excited for all these things. Do you think we'll get more? I mean, do you think this? I mean, obviously this looks good. Do you think we'll get, if Pikachu succeeds? Do you think we'll get more live action movies? Do you want more
Depending on
live
how
action?
this does, I mean, I predict this is going to make some serious money. I know the Switch game's going to sell. We're going to be getting more Pokemon. I'm curious as to see where they go with Detective Pikachu. I don't know that it immediately lends itself to a sequel, but we'll see. It should be exciting. I think we're going to be
Oh,
getting more. Like I said, Pokemon's going to outlast all of us at this point.
yeah. I'm Camp Ryan mostly because of when we were at EKCON in that panel, there were, I mean, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about in the first time we covered it. There are so many generations of Pokemon fans. Like this is something that is just like it's not a flash in the pan, and it's something that is sustained through multiple people, multiple types of people, multiple fans, and I do think that Pokemon as it exists is one of those unique franchises that hasn't forgotten its original fan base. Like I think that there are a lot of times when you have reboots and remakes and like things that go on for so long that sometimes they either forget their original fan base and cater only to new fans,
Mhm.
or you, and I kind of think like Supernatural, where they don't care about new fans, they're just there for the original fan base. And I think that Pokemon has struck this balance that is gonna make it, like Ryan said, outlast us all, because it has so much love from so many areas of life, and I think all that Detective Pikachu shows is that it's just expanding its reach. I don't see Pokemon ending anytime soon.
Yeah, there's no way it does, especially since it's still like the highest grossing media franchise like of all time. Like beating out basically anything you can think of, And that's Pokemon. Like that's not like Star Wars or Star Trek or
I mean, I think half of the
X Y
sales
Z.
are just me.
Like they have way too much money in the game to like let this die, so they have to keep doing things well to keep people going. And I think Sword and Shield and Detective Pikachu are steps in that right direction. And then they're just going to keep increasing that gap of how much money and franchising that they're going to make from all
Yeah,
this.
we'll say it's pretty good that we mentioned, because we talked about before of like the new content, old content. We don't hear Pokemon fatigue. We're hearing like we're actually excited for new stuff.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Pokemon, I think every generation does a really good job of introducing new Pokemon, and while you're playing the game, also like peppering in a few of the older Pokemon. So when you do encounter like a Pokemon from Gen 1, you're like, oh, wow, I wasn't expecting that in this region. That's cool. And so you get a little bit of nostalgia with like each adventure, and it keeps returning fans like happy while also introducing new fans to the older generations.
Yeah, and that's not to say that Pokemon haven't been popular. Obviously, the highest grossing franchise, and everything else. But it does seem within the last 2 years, especially since we recorded this, that it seemed to be almost getting more in the general audience, mainstream type ordeals.
Yeah.
Like before, it was like, yeah, there's a ton of people playing Pokemon, but they were a select group. Now it's like any person I know that may not know anything other than they heard Pikachu, like, I'm gonna go see Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, I think too, like I feel like we're kind of at I feel like we're at Pokemon Go type level hype and like visibility, but in a different way. Like this actually feels sustained. Whereas like Pokemon Go, it was one of those things where it was everywhere and everybody loved it and everybody was doing it and everybody was talking about it. But given the nature of the game, it seemed very much like a fad, and that's kind of what it had been for, they had a little lull. A lot of it was Niantic's optimization issues, but this, it feels like it's that level of visibility and love, but it feels different. Like it's the same in scope, but I think different in sustainability.
Well, and I'm gonna hate myself for using this word, but it is the Pokemon Company displaying great like synergy of having Let's Go come out, introducing like new fans to the franchise, getting back some old fans, giving you Detective Pikachu, which is a family friendly like movie, so all generations can go see it, and then giving you a new main series Pokemon game on the same console that Let's Go came out on. And it's like, yeah, you got in this 1 year, you guys are just killing it.
By far.
Do you think any Pokemon die in Detective Pikachu?
Don't you dare, Adrian. I just saw a gif of sad Pikachu, and I can't handle that because it's too freaking real, and it reminds me of my dog looking sad. So don't you put that on this podcast.
There's that sad Pikachu sitting next to like the fountain, and I'm just like, oh man, this movie's gonna have some feels, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a detective movie. Something's got to die, and it's a world full of Pokemon. So, like, chances are it's going to be a Pokemon.
I'm not ready for that.
Kate's just in shell shock right now.
I didn't think about that, and I'm like, I've been through enough tears in the theater this past freaking 2 weeks. Like,
Nope.
Nope.
I can't.
It's okay,
man.
everything
You
will
kill-
be better
you
with
kill
John
your-
Wick.
Yeah, and you kill your rivals Raticate in like Gen 1 stuff. So like they're used to like letting you kill stuff.
Yeah.
God, I just remembered how dark a lot of like anime and anime based stuff is, and then how like in America, because of 4Kids TV, we get that taken away. And
Yes.
it just made me think of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, you guys talked about this on your Pokemon episode. Pokemon, like the manga is pretty dark, and then
Pokemon, like, yeah, they get like split in half.
the
Like
the original
it's messed
like,
up.
game had like the Pokemon Tower, and the first Pokemon you encounter is like in there, just the ghost of a Marowak, and it's like, oh, I don't know how I'm handling this now.
Yeah, I thought about that question. I didn't put it on here, obviously, at the end, but it was something I was wondering if it was going to come up. And I kind of was just hoping because I feel there's going to be some Pokemon's going to die, and I don't know.
Matt, you would have been sleeping on the couch did you put these in this notes. I'm not even joking. I can't deal with that.
But that's all I have for this. I guess either last thoughts or anything else that anybody has.
I mean, not anything that we've already said, but like we're. I was worried. I guess we recorded this last time because Pokemon Go like was kind of on its like downslide like a little bit because of all of the issues with the the developers and things like that. And then they picked up, and I think that kind of got us off into this nice little roller coaster back to the top of like peak Pokemon hype. And I think we're about to I think we're at the pinnacle, and I'm super excited to see where our loop-de-loop goes when Detective Pikachu and then Sun and Moon come out this year.
Make
Sword
the
and Shield
loop-de-loop
come out
band
this year.
cool, and your shoes are looking cool. I can't. Whenever I hear loop-de-loop, that's all I hear about. That's all I think now. Thank you, SpongeBob.
We can't take you in public. All right, what do you got for us, Kate?
I'm just really excited. I'm really excited, and kids can get on my lawn. They can't ruin my grass, but I'll let them stand there for a little bit. I think that they're right now, especially like with how bad everything is in the world and how, I mean, I'm a negative person, so I have nothing against negativity. Like, I'm very negative. But I do think that there are some points where you just need something that is just going to uplift you, and which is why I don't want a freaking Pokemon to die. But
I don't think a Pokemon's gonna die.
I hope.
Don't lie to her like that, Ryan.
Matt. But
A human might die.
Nobody can
A
see it, but
Pokemon
Adrian
won't.
is doing a gun hand to the camera, and I hate him a little bit right now.
There is that episode of Pokemon where a guy points a gun at a Growlithe.
And 4Kids changed it to a finger gun.
Yep, sounds right.
No, I like I do think that there are some things that you just need to have that are just really pure and good, and I do think that like when it comes to a lot of like and I say this as a horror fan, I say this as a very negative person. I am very thankful for Detective Pikachu coming out because I do think that that's something that I need. It's also one of the reasons why I really like kids movies, even though those are extremely depressing a lot of the time, like in a EU Wonder Park. But I think that it's really good, and I think it just proves why Nintendo doesn't have to like do anything, why all of the companies are usually fighting at E3 and Nintendo's just like in the back eating an ice cream sandwich. Like, because it just knows how to tap into your heart in a different way. Like, and I think it's because like they've been able to position themselves in this unique spot where they kind of grab everybody as kids. So regardless of what generation you are, you have childhood memories of a Nintendo property. And I think that that's why when I think of Pokemon, I just think about being happy. Until somebody mentions Pokemon the first movie and I think of the Pikachu slapping each other. But like it I'm just happy. Like and I'm like I said, I'm a negative person, so like that means a lot to me. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Pokemon Go. Or not Pokemon Go. I'm excited for where Pokemon's going, and eventually we will get a Switch in this household, and I will just play a crap ton of Pokemon while we're waiting in line at conventions.
I mean, that's what I've done at conventions past, and
that's why I want a Switch now, because
so
literally everybody, like, whether you're an exhibitor, press, just a regular con goer, everybody has a damn Switch with them because it's like so cool.
Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to do this E3 when my Switch doesn't do handheld and I'm just going to be stuck in line. Talk to people?
Same thing the rest of us do. What do you, anything last thoughts for, thank you for coming on, Ryan? Do you have anything to close out for your Pokemon thoughts?
No, I just really love Pokemon. I'm excited to get more of it.
Have you seen that video of Black Guy Loves Pokemon?
No, I don't believe I have.
Oh man, can we put it in the show notes?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I just love Pokemon. Oh man, it's so good.
I know I
video.
sent you
What?
guys the Polygon, what was that? It was like a convention panel where the guy did a poker rap for all 800 Pokemon. It's very
Yes.
good.
So Ash, one of our writers and podcasters in our in the But Why Though community, she like posts videos of her like singing Pokemon all the time, like with her guitar, and it is the purest joy in the entire world that I'm happy to exist. Also, Drunk Kate karaoke to Pokemon because I knew the words, so that also is out there. I'm not going to tell you where you can find it. But
There's a video somewhere of one of my best friends playing the ukulele and playing the second theme song, and me and my other friend like backup dancing to it. It's out there somewhere. It's really good. That song's so good. Yeah, but Brian just saying I just love Pokemon reminds me of this video of this guy just for 4 minutes just saying how much he loves Pokemon, and it's amazing, and it makes me think. Again, like Kate said, it just makes me happy. It just makes me real happy.
Cool. Well, once again, thank you, Ryan, for coming on. It's been a pleasure. Pokemon does seem to be good. I'm kind of excited to see where it's going. Like I said, being on a Switch and possibly a Switch seems to be more obtainable, as weird as it says, than like a DS, just because like it has more value. But so hopefully one day get to play and Detective Pikachu. And Kate, take us out of here.
Yeah. So if you want to support the show a little bit more, head on over to patreon.com/but why though. Check out our tiers, get some exclusive episodes. I think the next thing we're doing on there is putting up a Detective Pikachu review, and we have our movie review of the Zodiac as well. Yeah, just come support us there. But if you can't, that's totally understandable, and you can also support us by rating, reviewing, and subscribing to us wherever you listen. It helps other people find us, and it's one way to get the word out. And Ryan, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at rpcappy. You can find me where I have my podcast on Goomba Stomp. It's called Gameboys. It's all about co-op and multiplayer gaming. And you can actually find me right here on But Why Those Twitch on Tuesdays and Thursdays streaming.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And if I'm sure we missed something because the Pokemon world is vast.
Oh,
I
I do remember one thing you guys missed. Bulbasaur is trash, and I need to
Oh,
set the
hell
record
no.
there for Butt Wide, though, because
Hell no.
there are some people in this community who are just wrong
You're-
about this. And
Dude, you're so right. Why do people love this
What the
trash Pokemon?
hell?
He's statistically like the worst starter in the game.
He's
awful.
adorable.
he's the worst.
But he is
How?
terrible, though.
No,
He is
all three of
terrible.
you can get out. No. No.
He's bad.
You
I've
all
I've
are
said my
awful.
piece.
Awful humans.
As the Pokemon expert on this episode, it's just gonna have to be the
Awful
law.
humans, the lot of you. This is that might be the hottest of takes on freaking the show, and that's saying a lot.
I think the problem is that y'all have the hot takes, but because y'all run the Twitter, like it doesn't seem like it's a hot take. But I'm pretty sure if you go like ask next time we're at a con, we're like, hey, what's your opinions on Bulbasaur? And they're gonna be like, he sucks in Generation One.
I think the 800 people who liked and retweeted the Bulbasaur tweet.
He just
He-
looks
here's
cute
what
in
I'm
that thing,
saying
but he's
is-
terrible in the game. Okay,
There are now 8 generations, and there are 7 better grass Pokemon.
I was excited to see you at PAX West, and now I'm not.
That's fair.
Anyway, if you want to join this heated discussion and help and tell us how much you love Bulbasaur, you can find us on Apple PC on all of our social media, mostly Twitter. That's where we're the most active. And you can find me at OMF3Randier on Twitter, where I am currently sharing apparently 2 very hot take articles about Sansa and Black Widow. So, Adrian?
yeah, you can find me on Twitter at SuperReese93, SUPERRUIZ 93, and feel free to come at me about your Bulbasaur takes because you're wrong.
Matt?
One, I will say one of our contributors actually made a tableau display of all Pokemon statistics to prove that Bulbasaur is terrible. You
That
can
is
easily look
not
up the
why
actual
he
raw
made
data.
that.
That is not why he made that, but that's what the data
No,
says.
oh my god, no!
It's probably why he made it. The truth's out there, people.
You are.
But yes,
all
we do
awful
have an
people.
entire data statistical analysis of all Pokemon stats.
Matt's not being hyperbolic. It's really cool. Shout out to Swara Saleh.
But as far as you can find me, I'm gonna go hang out with Pikachu, and we're gonna drink. He can drink his coffee, and I'm gonna drink Bang over and over until we run out of probably have cardiac arrest.